nights can be just as enjoyable without the heavy price tag. The vibes stay high, but your pockets stay full. The best memories aren't about how much you spend, but who you spend time with.
That was Money Matters on the trending station, Boom 1069 FM. Brought to you by KCCU, with you in mind.
At KCCU, you're our top priority. We're here to make your experience effortless with convenient access to all our services. You'll never stress about banking again. Manage your accounts, handle transaction, and explore our range of services, all tailored to your needs. Join the KCCU family where your well-being matters. Medical insurance, personalized solutions, and more. From young to old, we're here for every stage of life. Stop by or call us at 457-2409. We're here Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Visit our branches in Mesopotamia, Beckway, Canawan, and Union Island. We're everywhere you need us to be. Your financial journey starts here. KCCU, with you in mind.
OMG in the morning, lighting up SVG on Boom 1069.
And we've got the KCCU inside with us this morning. Good morning. I know it's a wet one, and I apologize for bringing the rain this morning.
Wow.
I'll see what I can do.
What a man.
I'll see what I can do. You know, How are you doing? Where's my girl this morning?
She's taking a nice little rest. She's on vacation, so she's not here with us.
How much vacation does you know? How much vacation does she need? Anyway, you come and you bring great news this way.
Of course. Last time I hinted at a little something that we have for our carnival season. And we are proud to say that we have released our Revel Carnival loan.
Whoa.
Come on. You could get up to $15,000 with 10%.
That's plenty frontline cost.
Yeah, $15,000. $15,000, 10% interest rate with 6 years to repay. So we increased the repayment time. Last year it was 5.
Spread it out a little bit.
So this year is
a little
6,
bit more.
just to facilitate persons.
Yeah.
So even if you want to borrow the full $15,000, you'll be paying under $500 a month.
Wow.
Under $500 a month. And if you want to get, let's say, $3,000, you'll be paying under $100 monthly. So that's to tell you how great this deal is. Nothing past $500, and you could get something as low as $97 monthly repayment. That's if you borrow $3,000.
Okay, tell me, how do I qualify for this?
Once you are a member of the Kingston Cooperative Credit Union,
telling you to look
this
for my
is
thing.
for you.
Look for my thing there.
Yeah. all members of the Kingston Cooperative Credit Union, this loan is for you. Nothing more, nothing less. This is for you for the carnival season. And trust me, you don't have to use this for carnival alone, right? So, you know.
What do you mean? The carnival loan, but you don't have to use it for carnival?
Exactly. The money is there for you for the season. It's there for the season.
Like how she never gone on vacation.
Definitely. Because if you want a vacation, staycation somewhere, come on in, get the carnival.
Or vacation.
Vocation.
Anything you need. Come on in, utilize the money at hand because it's not only for carnival, it's for vacation if you want. Some persons have camporees as well around this time period, and they may need a little financing to go on the camp and such.
Right.
It's for you as well. So it encompasses everyone. So it's not just for the revelers, hence the loan Revel. It's not just for the revelers. It's for everybody, inclusive of everybody, despite whatever activity you want to do throughout the season. The loan ends on July 31st. That's very important. July 31st.
Okay. So you got some time, but don't wait until July.
No, don't wait. Come on in. Don't wait to book either, because our time slots for our loan officers will be going.
And how do I book?
You can contact us at 457-2409. Contact us at 457-2409. If you are not a member and would like to be a member of the Credit Union,
Shady.
I could join and
just get the $300 now. Come on. Get the $300 now.
Once you are a member of the Kingston Cooperative Credit Union, you have full access to all our
like me,
products.
who is that as yet?
Come on
And
in
I'm
and
going
join
up there
Shady.
today. I'm
We
going up there
waiting
today
on.
after work. I'm going
We
up there
waiting.
today.
We waiting on.
You want money? You want money?
You want money.
You want money?
Sticking, man.
So I
Sticking.
could still be.
Yes. Come on in. We'll talk to you. We always have a conversation.
How many weeks you been hearing this?
I want to know. It's taking really long to join.
What's going on with you?
Boom, pay me yet. Come and join.
All right, so Shady, this is what you need. You need like 2 pounds of ID, 2 pounds of photo identification.
Not police, not the mug shot that is saying now. Not the police mug shot. That doesn't count as an ID.
Yeah, 2 pounds of ID, a salary slip or a job letter, and a utility bill for proof of address. If you don't have the 2 pounds of ID, we also have a form where a justice piece will fill out for you on your behalf in that case. That serves as the identification.
Oh, really? You can do that?
You can do that. And you
Okay.
can join. You have options. If you want to join to be able to access our loan,
Right.
you have to join with at least $305.
Okay.
Right? But persons, if you just want to join and save, you could join with as low as $50.
Okay.
Yes, we have
Okay.
a payment plan where you could join as low as $50, and you have a payment plan where you pay until you get up to a full membership status.
Okay.
But once you want to join and access a loan, you will have to pay $305.
Right. What else do you have? What else do you have? To
Well,
tell me?
this weekend we have something special for our elderlies, our senior care day
Okay.
that we
Oh,
were
wow. I
right
like
we
the
were
name of that.
promoting, and very much thanks to everybody for such great support on that. Registration has been pulled out.
Senior Kid Day.
Senior care day. That's
You mean
for
you're
our
gonna take care of them?
Yes,
You're gonna take care
our
of them.
elderly.
What are you gonna do? What are you
Well,
gonna do?
last year, I could tell you what we did last year,
Yeah,
what
okay.
we're going to do this year. So
Okay.
last year, we went to Warraku, where we had some exercise. We pampered them with massages
Oh, that's
and
so
everything
nice.
like that.
That's very
Just
nice.
for our senior care
Yeah,
members.
yeah,
This year, we have a different theme. It's called KCC Soiree. So we want the elderly to dress up a little bit, get in the
Listen,
groove.
Wait, people, it's the elderly from East Kingston. Are they allowed to be involved in this? Because
Which-
look over there, look over there.
Hey,
Look over there, boy. It's an opportunity, boy. Here's an opportunity. We want to pick up all of them. Carry them.
Yeah, that will be happening this Sunday at Sunset Shows from 3 to 7 p.m. So it's going to be a great time for
So
our
how
elders.
does an elderly
Um,
get to? You have to
well,
be a member of the credit
yes,
union?
you have to be a member of the
Okay.
credit union, and we had our registration forms out online. And if persons wasn't able to register online, they were gonna come into our offices, any of our branches,
Right.
and our customer service reps helped them sign up.
Approximately how many
We
of them are you
have
talking about?
we reached capacity already. We had 75 persons already signed up already. So that's why I'm so happy and so thankful for our senior members to coming out in such great support towards the senior care day, signing up very quickly, because we stated our registration to be ended by this week, but it was filled out last week.
Really?
Yeah, quick. So that's thank you very much for all the members. Big up to the Educations Committee for planning this amazing event, and they're going to execute it as well on Sunday.
So it's gonna be a good. Is
Oh,
that,
it's
that
gonna
how
be a
many years? How
good
many
time.
years you guys been doing this?
It's been around for quite a while, even before I was there.
Okay, how do you qualify to be an elderly? Because I mean, that's why.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
that.
Sundays is a no food day for me. You know what I mean? How do you qualify?
Elderly-
Besides being a member, I'm a member. So
We went
at
from
what
50.
age?
We
From
went from
50?
50. We went from 50. We went from 50. That's what we
yeah,
went.
just barely missed it there.
We went from 50 up. But yes, these are some of the initiatives that we do at the Kingston Cooperative Credit Union. We like
You guys are always busy doing
we
stuff
like
in
to
the community.
treat our members well
Yeah,
and nice.
yeah.
We do initiatives that focus on whatever generation you are. So young, middle age, elderly, we have something for every single one. Even
Okay.
in our loan products, we have something for young, middle age, elderly. We
Nice,
cater for
nice,
everyone,
nice,
from
nice,
cradles
nice,
to
nice.
grave.
From cradle to grave.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Come
on.
That's
I know
not-
it's a rainy morning.
Yeah, it's
but
a
guys,
red morning. Yeah,
it's a Monday too.
yeah.
So you'll be really sluggish sometimes. But at KCCU, we have you in mind.
We
Come
got
on
you.
up.
They-
Come
we
on.
got you. We
Always
got
have
you.
you.
We
We
got you.
always
We
have
got
you.
you. We
So you
got
can
you.
contact us at 457-2409 or contact us on our social media platforms at KCCU SVG. That's on Facebook and Instagram.
Nice. Enough nets. Nice enough nets. Thank you very much, my buddy. He said we're going to do it quick this morning.
No problem.
Yeah, because you got some great information, and let's get it quick. Remember, the carnival loans and this coming Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah,
The senior
the
care.
senior. Yeah, once you've got your mother, your grandmother, who's a member of the credit union, take them, please. don't be a shady.
Well, you
Don't be a
need
shady.
to ask them if they already
Yeah,
registered.
yeah, yeah.
That's the thing.
Oh,
If they already
oh,
registered,
oh,
because
okay,
that's the
okay,
thing.
okay,
We
okay.
reached capacity last week Friday.
Capacity? Like
Capacity,
how many we talking
we
about?
reached
Sir?
around close to 100 persons.
Wow.
That was filled out in around 2
Wow.
weeks.
Okay. Shady, please do not go. It's not for you. Okay? Do not go. All right, buddy. Thank you very
No
much.
problem, no
All right.
problem.
That's the KCCU. We enjoy having them all the time inside. Hey, we got Luke Brown with us this morning, and we're gonna talk all kind of thing because it's Bacchanal Monday morning, and we're gonna light a fire, a red fire that is. He's with us already. He's been here sitting waiting. Yeah. And we ready to go. Watch my camera there. You can see your camera's there, and that's my camera there. So don't block me. I know that's what all they like to do. All the UFP people. I know the other one listening. I know the candy man listening. All the labor people like to block people. No, yeah, don't block me. That's me there. Shady, let it go, and we come right back. Yeah. Should we jump straight into him? Let's go straight into him. Good morning to you, buddy. Good morning.
Good morning, Bing, and good to be in studio on this rainy Monday morning.
Oh,
you
yeah.
call it Bacchanal Monday. I don't know for what reason you call it Bacchanal Monday.
That's been the name.
I know. You make me remember a song from a popular guy in East Kingston, El Punk, when he was talking about Bacchanal in the water.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in the height of the carnival season, you know. But
So
this
when
might be
are
a
you
different type of
dropping your Bacchanal song? When are you dropping your song? Shady, you know you got a song, right? Yeah. What? I thought you'd have brought it with you.
Well, I mean, if you had given me prior notice, then this would be an appropriate time to make it boom.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know what give you the impression that it's a Bacchanal song.
It is a Bacchanal song. It is a Bacchanal song.
But I think it is a good song, an uplifting song, a positive message.
Stoker song or is it a calypso?
I think it's more of the rap genre.
Okay,
to be honest. I mean, and I think I went for that because when you sing in rap, you don't really have to be able to sing.
You can talk through it.
You talk through it.
Yeah.
I thought of it really as an extension of my interest in poetry because I've always been interested in poetry and always been writing poems, and this is a case for me of poetry with a beat.
Okay.
You know,
okay,
so
okay.
just was and more than anything else, being honest, it was just fun.
Produced by the guys on the hill?
Of course, I mean none other than the Just Bus Studio.
Just.
Big up
Okay.
Sean Beats, big up the family. I know they have a lot of things coming out.
Okay.
And the truth is, the message of the song is very simple. This place is a galaxy. You know, and when I say galaxy, I'm talking about stars, and I'm talking about the youth being all stars. And in the song, as you would see it when it comes out, they say, just take a look at the track. Shafika out front, and we're not turning back. Vincentian's winning the race. We're moving at a quick pace. They say we fast and furious. The whole world just got curious. And then, you know, we don't restrict it to the arena of sports and track and field. We go further and deeper with it. And we talk about what about Jared Porter, for example, top student in every lecture theater. This guy knows his chemistry, summa cum laude at Harvard University. And then there's Jason Haynes, a man with exceptional brains, young giant, legal luminary, shining by the weather there. It's so gloomy. So even if I ain't bringing the thing, no. So it's just fun with an uplifting message as well.
Yes.
And that's what was important to me.
Speaking about fun with an uplifting message, over the weekend, we had another triple homicide. And the crime rate seems to be going up, elevating. What's your
Well, I think the activities over the weekend have really amounted to a spike for this period. I think that there was a relatively quiet period before the past week or so, and it really causes us, or really should cause us as a nation to reflect on some of the issues of crime. I mean, and I know that we've been doing it over a period of time. Now, my own thoughts on the subject of crime. Naturally, when there is an episode or an incident like this, it requires the response of the police force in terms of investigation and so on. But if we're going to take a holistic and broader approach to crime, I think we have to really get down to some of its roots. And my thoughts on this subject have really been substantially influenced by a gentleman called Professor Corin Bailey, who is based at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill, and he's the director of the Center for Criminal Justice and Security there. And he, based on his thoughts, he's persuaded me to think of crime as being the symptom of a disease, so to speak, and that disease we could call social exclusion. So, and if we look at it as a disease, and I'm persuaded, I'm attracted to this proposition because I believe it has great explanatory power. If we look at it in that light, we could see it, I think, as being the result of certain risk factors. Just like if you talk about diabetes as a non-communicable disease, you know the risk factors associated with diabetes. You have to have physical activity. You have to have a good diet. You have to avoid alcohol, harmful use of alcohol at least. You have to avoid tobacco. Those are the risk factors. We tackle those things if we want to make some positive and concrete long-term strides against that disease. In terms of social exclusion, and again, by the thoughts of this distinguished professor who is an influential figure in this arena, he makes a point, for instance, that our education system is very important because, as the studies show, persons with lower levels of education have a greater propensity towards crime. This isn't to say that highly educated people might not get involved as well, but generally speaking. So we need education systems that make sure that socioeconomic background is not a deterrent to success in education and success in occupation. And that could be elaborated. We also need to address matters of weak family structures, because when you have weak family structures, it means that there is very little informal control within those families. And how you have to ask yourself then, how do we strengthen our family structures? And we could strengthen these family structures in several ways, including through parental courses, I think, which are really vital. And it also ties into some of the work that we do in the community as well. You know, you might look at the summer program that we've been having for many years, over 14 years, and wonder what is the significance and the importance of that. It's significant and important for several reasons, including because of the fact that it provides, as we've always said, a home away from home, and helps in some cases to make up for what might be the disadvantages of weak family structures. In order to address weak family structures as well too, we have to make sure that we have social services which are connected to the community, because sometimes there's a disconnect between social services.
But however, look, I mean, years ago, many years ago, what helped in these community events was these organizations, community organizations. Those have disappeared.
Well, community organizing, I wouldn't go to the extent of saying that they have disappeared. They're probably not as active as they used to be. They're probably not as many community organizations, but there's still community organizations.
How many in East Kingston?
Well, first of all, you could start with Luke's Kids Club as being a community organization. Okay. You could start with the Light Hill Foundation as being a community organization, and these are community organizations that I'm a part of. You could start with the Sign Hill Sports Club as being a community organization, incidentally a community organization which has been in existence for 50 years. And you know, one of the things which was said when this organization was celebrating its 50th anniversary is the fact that it arose as a result of stigmatization within the community. It arose, so it brings us back into this whole conversation, because Darky Williams, when he was talking about it, renowned dramatist and cultural ambassador, David Darky Williams, yes, he was saying that the Signal Sports Club arose as a result of the need to respond to stigmatization of communities. Right now, we have stigmatization of communities in different areas, and we have to do things that addresses it. So the Signal Sports Club, as a case in point, there are different sporting organizations there as well, and hopefully with the new initiative that is being spearheaded by the government, the Give project, which was recently launched, we're going to see an even greater resurgence in community organizations that are addressing the needs of the communities. And don't underestimate as well simple things like giving or attracting persons. We talk about social exclusion and crime. When you have events that attract people to communities, that get persons to see these communities in a positive light, that goes a long way as well. I think of, for instance, the Christmas light up activities that you have. If you are a member of a community and the only thing that you see is the only people that come into your community that leave an impression upon you are members of the police force who come there to execute a search warrant or who come there to arrest someone, then that is going to color your sense of your community. But if you see people coming into your community to participate in something like a Christmas light up, you have a good display of Christmas lights there, and people coming to that area, you're going to see that as a signal of importance, and it is going to build your self-esteem and have many positive impacts, including impacts related to a reduction of crime.
What about the work of the state? I mean, what role does the state play?
Well,
because the state has a responsibility. One of the main responsibility of the state is security.
Yes.
Right? Where are we with that? I mean, do you think that the people, and I'm going to focus on the constituency of which you are supposed to be running in, do you think the people in East Kingston feel safe about what is taking place?
Well, the thing is, you mentioned the role of the state, and of course, the state has an important role to play. I wouldn't suggest that the things that I've said before are divorced from a role of the state, because I see the state as being able to play a role in respect of summer programs, for instance, because there could be the sponsorship of nationwide summer programs in all communities that are beneficial. I see that the state could play a role in the provision of parenting courses, and if you could sponsor parenting courses throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and if you do that, you are going to very likely have an impact on families, which is at the heart and at the core of it. I see the state as playing a vitally important role, and it has in fact been playing a vitally important role in relation to education, because when you make sure that schools throughout the country, and not just schools in one part of the country, are fit for purpose, have good teachers, have good equipment, then you are going to make sure that persons have an opportunity, have the best shot in life. So we have that as a role for the state. I mean, I know that sometimes when we talk about the role of the state, we talk about the role of the state in relation to policing, and we talk about the role of the state perhaps in relation to specific targeted measures, the detection, in relation to making sure that we have policies and effective. So, policies, again, I want to make sure that we understand policy in the broader light. Because policy, again, is applicable to all those areas that we discuss. Policies in relation to policing, they are also within the ambit of the role of the state. But I don't want to give the impression that the way in which you're going to solve this problem and get it to go away is by the state coming down with a heavy hand and saying, look, as a result of these things, we are going to, for instance, have there's always the rhetoric about a tough response to crime. We're going to have an increase in the police force. We're going to try to create a situation where we trample human rights in the relationship between, or in police encounters between, the citizens and the state, because the research shows that those things are not effective, and those things are much more likely to alienate communities rather than get at the heart of the problem.
Look, political pollster Peter Wickham said, I don't know if you've heard about, you've read this, that the ULP government can lose the elections based on crime. That's one of the ambits that he spoke about. What do you say about what Peter Wickham have said?
Well, any government that is in power can lose an election based on the way in which it deals with issues that people consider to be affecting their lives. We could lose the election based on crime. I also think that he said that we could lose the election based on the economy. We could lose the election on a myriad of different things.
And he's saying that this may certainly happen.
Well, I'm not sure. I didn't think that he couched it in terms of certainty. But what is important, nonetheless, is for there to be a communication, because a campaign is a communication process. And we have to have a communication process in the course of which the government explains what it is doing about crime, and also gives the clear impression that we are going to get best results when we tackle this as a matter of a partnership. If we tackle this as a matter of a partnership and you feel confident that the Unity Labour Party is the party that is going to be able to best address the criminal the situation with crime in this country, or the situation with the economy in this country, or the situation in health in this country, and I believe that persons who hear the narrative, who would assess the record, would come to the conclusion that it is definitely the better of the two main options.
How so? Because we've had the highest numbers. We shattered the ceiling when it comes to homicide. Right. So how so?
Well, how
the ULP
we have
of the two options?
Because we have a plan.
But when is this plan going to be put in place?
No, the plan is being put in place. It's not we have a plan, and I wanted, and this is the point I've been making. It's important for us to have a broad approach, broad thinking about what is the strategy for crime. We have a plan that has elements of policing associated with it. We have a plan that has elements of education associated with it, because, as I mentioned, and this is something I'd like to drive home, that link between education and crime is something which is fundamental. So when you hear the government talking about the education revolution, and when you hear the government saying that we have moved from a situation where only 40% of our secondary school age children were in secondary school to a situation where 100% of them are in secondary school, understand that to be a policy against crime.
It doesn't seem to be working. But hold on. We got Council backstage. We're gonna bring him, and we come back. We're gonna continue the discussion. We're gonna wrap that up with crime, and we're gonna get into the CBI program, something of which you've thrown yourself into the mix as well. Okay, so we got Council backstage. Shady, let's bring Council. He's backstage. Let's bring him. It's now time for Plain Talk.
Plain Talk. Plain Talk with Jumo Thomas.
Much things to say right now.
All your talk now
on OMG.
All right, bring him in.
Good morning.
Morning, Council. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Bing. Good morning, Shady. Good morning, Luke Brown. Most of all, good morning to your listeners.
Good morning to you.
And good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, that's your senior. That's senior. Right?
I don't know. I've listened to Luke, and I always like to listen to Luke because he has an opinion, and it's always a considered opinion. But a lot of times when I listen to many of the persons associated with the government now, a lot of what they say always tend to ring hollow to me. Because since I started listening, I heard Luke talked about a strategy for crime. And he talked about the importance of community involvement and the fundamental importance of parenting. And he mentioned the education revolution as a strategy against crime. And before I get out, I want to talk about health and particularly as it relates to COVID. But I hate to, and I've been saying this columns after columns, commentary after commentary. I always warn politicians not to take any credit for crime or crime statistics because it is virtually impossible to control the way in which crime is going to escalate or de-escalate unless you have a massive infusion of funds to go to the fundamental. I heard Luke went to it, and Luke may not know that what he said was a heresy in his party hierarchy, because he said that people at the lower echelons of society are the ones who mostly involve themselves with crime. This is not to say that rich people or people high up don't get involved in crime, but that has been denied by his party.
But that's not precisely.
They have been saying time and time again that there's hardly a link between economic deprivation and crime. So just wanted to put that in there and say don't be surprised if you get slap up this when you get off the program for
no Jomo. I mean,
committed a heresy. Let me finish. I'm not going to be watching.
Finish and then I will talk. But
of course, and you would have to talk when I wouldn't even be there to rebut. Yeah, so that's one point. And then this whole strategy about crime. I mean, the governing party came in, the Unity Labour Party came in, talking about having wrongly properly criticized the NDP for escalating crime situation. And we may all remember when Prime Minister Gonzalez said that James Mitchell, former Prime Minister, and Randolph Toussaint, former Commissioner of Police, were the faces of crime and drugs in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. One wonders now, who's the face of crime and drugs in St. Vincent, because Prime Minister Gonzalez, also the Minister of National Security. But, they talked about being tough on crime and the causes of crime. And I think I'm not sure if the jury is out anymore on whether that policy prescription is anything more than an empty slogan, in the sense that if we look over the last quarter of a century, we cannot say in any fundamental sense that the strategy about being tough on crime and the cause of crime has reaped any real benefit, in the sense that we had escalating crime, particularly homicides. And we have seen little movement in terms of employment or in terms of benefiting the economic conditions of the people, which, if Luke is correct, and I think he is, may help us to turn the corner with crime. Because if more and more people are getting jobs that help them to keep body and soul together, getting jobs that help them to take care of themselves and their children and their families, and spend a few dollars here and there with their friends, they may be less likely to commit some of the crimes that we are seeing. And so that's the problem. And then when we tie that in with his remark about community involvement, and he has done a really good job with the kids club, Luke's Kids Club. And it's going to be interesting to see if Luke's Kids Club was anything beyond a political stepping stone, because there's a real chance that he's going to run for a fifth time in another few months, and we are absolutely certain that he's going to lose. And the question then becomes, what happens with Luke? Would he continue Luke's Kids Club once his political career comes to an end? So we would watch and see that. Yes, the parenting is a big problem, but you see, we have become detached in some ways from our old values, and I'm not sure if we pay enough attention to it. That when I was a youth, when I was going to primary school, I can tell you all that in all of my years of primary school and my 2 years at secondary school, St. Martin said, I can't recall a single time when my mother looked into a book that I had brought home from school, because she simply didn't have the time. She didn't have the time. She worked full time at Aru Pool, where we now have the NIS structure building. And then she went to that wooden building for the bananas right behind grammar school and washed and ironed for these people. She didn't have the time, and she may come home sometime and have to cook something for us to eat. And so she didn't have that time. But what you had back then in the 60s and 70s, when I was growing up, you still had some community cohesion. You still had the church, still had a strong force on the people. Elders were still highly respected, and they would pull you in and talk to you and wring your ears and tell you, boy, don't let me ever see you do that again. And the schools, the teachers still had a lot of authority. So they performed the part of the parenting that has all fallen off now. The school don't have that hold, the church don't have that hold, and the elders certainly can't, are not allowed to engage the community, with the youngsters in the communities in the way in which they used to do. So I think that we have to rethink, to recalibrate our analysis on this whole concept of parenting. Because now, the other point too, in those early days when I was growing up, more and more mothers were at home, because the society was still culturally tethered to the situation where the man went out and worked and the mother stayed at home to try to make home. Now, all of the women have gone out to work, and a significant amount of the men are unemployed. So we have that kind of dislocation as well, which I think when we are analyzing, we have to put all of that in the mix and see how we can get out of that situation. Now, Luke also mentioned the question of education. And I think that the ULP, with all of the difficulties in education, would be long remembered for its efforts in education. In terms of doing universal primary and secondary education, it will be long remembered for that. I think even more so, it would be remembered for the massive support. I'm not sure how much of that is done now, but the massive support it gives to people, disenfranchised people, poor, vulnerable people, where it offered support for people to go off to university. There were times when St. Vincent, we all know, we celebrated it proudly, that after the campus states, St. Vincent was next in line in terms of students who were Mona, St. Augustine, and Cayfield. That's a significant thing, and I think they would be long remembered for that. But I think where we failed and continue to fail is that we haven't paid enough attention to remedial work. So consequently, we have a situation now where teachers would tell you that sometimes half the class can't read. When I was in primary school and when I was in secondary school, I don't know of anybody in secondary school who couldn't read. I remember there were some people in primary school, they got left back a few times and we would playfully call them grandma or grandpa. But now the story is legendary. That's in some schools, people, a lot of the students, a large percentage of the students cannot read. So I think we have gone for numbers in some instances. We have gone for quantity in some instances, and we have not paid enough attention to quality. So even though we have universal secondary education, as we saw. And Luke was in the parliament when I was there. So we heard Minister of Education Curtis King saying time and time again that students, we started with a certain amount of students, and by the time you get to about Form 4, Form 5, many of those students disappeared. So yes, they're getting into the system, but they are not completing the process. Again, that has to be investigated if we are serious about the development of our country. Finally, I want to talk about COVID, because Luke was a former minister of education. He wasn't the minister under COVID, but I know as a good party man, he supports all of the government's policy, including its draconian, evil COVID policy. And I think that is something that our people must never, ever, particularly now that we are going into an election, they should not allow the ULP to forget it. In fact, I think that they should ensure that this government is punished heavily for, one, the draconian policy, COVID policy, which is brought on, its insistence, even in the face of everything else, in pushing a case against hundreds of public employees in the face where there's mounting evidence, where it knew that the vaccine was ineffective, where it knew that the vaccine was very unsafe, and where it knew that the vaccine has caused multiple injuries and many deaths across St. Vincent. In fact, in the CMO affidavit in the case, she admitted that as early as June of 2021, they knew of somebody who had died as a result of the vaccine. And yet, they pushed that vaccine and continue to push it to this day. People would still tell you if you apply for a government job, they tell you have to be vaccinated. To this day, they do that. So those are my comments, and I know Luke is going to talk about CBI. And the only thing I want to say about CBI is that I had an occasion to look at Luke last night on a program for a colleague of mine, Legalize, a program that comes out of Grenada, a very good dear brother of mine called Ewart Lane. And I must say that you did not sound like the economist statistician that you are trained to be, because you are trained as an economist and a statistician. Statistics by its very definition allows us to talk about risk and what risk we can go through and what risk we can experience. And you brought none of that to bear in talking about, these people are gonna come in, they're going to they could be rogues, they could be criminals, and this is why I asked the question last night. Across the region over the last 40 years, how many rogues and criminals we have had who were ensnared because of the Citizenship by Investment program? Because I wanted us to compare and contrast that with St. Vincent, where we don't have a Citizenship by Investment program, but we have had this is not this government's fault. We have had
William Wise, we had
Weiss, we had Ames, and we don't have those are not by Citizenship by Investment, right? So I just want to leave it there, and I know that my good friend, the master of debate, would write all of these down and pick them, but it's all right. I give him the stage.
I'll give you a couple of minutes after the top so that we can have a little dialogue if you want, because I know he's preparing to respond to you. All right.
Yes,
Let's go to the top and come back. Stay right there, Council. Stay right there. Let's go to the top, Shady. I'm gonna do it over here. Okay, let's go. Let's do this and come right back.
SVG starts with OMG in the morning on the trending station. Wake up with the real Badman Bing and DJ Shady.
I want your strength. Wet them, wet them, wet them, wet them. That one in him stash. Wet them up. Anything you have in your hand, just stash. Wet them up. We don't give a damn. We don't give a stash. Wet them up. Anything you have in your hand, just stash. Wet them up. We don't give a damn. We don't give a. In your area, water. In your area, water. In your area, water. In your area. I am a plumber. I bring out the pipe and ice, she goes for she pepper. She do on a plastic pipe, the other one better. You want to grab a use, you just steal the hammer. Okay. Grab a use, the use piece to the truck tire. You see that piece there? Connect to the meter. Take that piece there, bring it to the shower. And she in the shower. She ready for water. And she's on the head, she's on the pipe head. It's your slash. Oh, let them up. Anything you have in your hand, just slash. Let them.
Lennon, big fat boy. Lennon. OMG in the morning, we've got Luke inside with us in studio, and we've got Council also with us. I know you want to respond. I know you're dying over it to respond. I could see you twitching. You're ready to respond. Let's go. First of all, you said it wasn't 5. It's not 5 years. It's 4 years. That it's four elections.
Well, that's a minor part of the response.
Yeah. Let's get that out of the way.
And I mean, he also said that
I thought I said he was going for 5. I didn't know I said he did 5.
But I haven't either done 4 or 5.
Okay.
So this is the.
So you did 2005, 2010, 2015, and 2020.
Well, in 2005, I was just 20 years old, and you might want to think that I am.
So that don't count.
No, I wasn't in the election.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Julian, you're right, Luke. Julian ran in 2005. You're absolutely right.
I wasn't in the election then, one, and then
yes, 3. So you're going for 4.
I'm going for 4, and remember that in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, the member who has the mic is entitled to be heard in silence. Just like
okay.
Just like you were heard in silence.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, just a minor point as well. He said that I was Minister of Education, but I know that he really meant to say that I was Minister of Health and Minister of Health for a period of 5 years. There are several things that came out in the presentation by my senior-in-law, and also a gentleman for whom I have some regard in relation to his public commentary and his discipline and his commitment to that craft. Now, if we were to take the education revolution as a case in point, I accept all the things that he has said about it that were complimentary, in the sense that it has definitely caused a lot of persons to have access to secondary school education, which is fundamental. It has allowed many persons to go on to university, which is fundamental. He speaks to what many persons might consider to be the general discussion about a trade-off between quality and quantity. And the truth is, we ought to pursue both quality and quantity together. But naturally, in the whole scheme of things, there will be the need for remedial education. And I think that he has a point that we need to make sure that persons who leave primary school have all the skills they require for success in secondary school. And I think that more and more we are doing that. I mean, the truth is, if I were to talk about my ideas for education, it will take a very long time.
Right.
But, suffice it to say that I believe that it is necessary for us to invest in equity in education, and investing in equity in education would help to solve some of the problems that Jomo spoke about in his presentation a while ago. I take his point about the community and its evolution, and the evolution of the community has had something to do with how we, because I in talking about crime, I said that they are weak families, and Jomo, I think, rightly said that in previous times, you might make up for a weak scenario within a family by a strong community. So, a strong community, and not just the community in the sense of the residence of the person, but also by the authority of persons at the school level, the authority of persons at the church level. So, a part of our strategy, I would say, in addition to parenting courses, would be to see how we could strengthen our sense of community and those old values of the village. I saw it put on one occasion. I'm sorry that he felt it necessary to refer to my commitment to the Luke's Kids Club summer program as perhaps something associated with a connection and involvement in politics. And
But is it not? Is it not?
Well, it is. It is associated with my contribution, or my sense of what my contribution could be to the upliftment of our communities. For instance, you might see me also being involved. You see, I look at the summer program in the same way that I look at, for instance, lecture series that I organize from time to time, which has been a hallmark for me. I have been involved in them before I got involved in politics, and if I were to no longer be involved in politics, I will still be.
But that's the question that he was asking.
Yeah. But the point I'm making is that just like I have been doing lecture series before I could talk, I have been involved in initiatives for the benefit of the community almost before I could walk. And the summer program is one such initiative, and it will be a hell of a thing for somebody who doesn't have a strong commitment to it in general to have been persistent with it over the course of 14 years and going. And it is not the only thing that I have persisted with. I have also been working diligently in other arenas. You take, for instance, the Christmas light up projects that we have going on as well. Again, a clear indication of commitment, and a long-term commitment, and not a fly-by-night commitment. You think about some of the work that I do even in the area of employment. So I am trying from a broad base to do things which I believe would have an impact on the lives and fortunes of persons, including the provision of employment. I mean, the provision of employment across my companies and organizations right now make me one of the biggest employers in East Kingston. So I am not waiting to be to get back into Parliament in one way or the other in order to continue my platform of public service. I have been doing that in many ways over a long period of time. I hear somebody might go down by the Sign Hill Beach and complain about the grass being overgrown and so on. I mean, that is really so petty. Right now, the number of different places in our community that I maintain without even talking to the government about it, you might be surprised about these facts. We have to take initiatives, and this all grows out of the conversation about the summer program, because I want to show that this has been a defining feature of my life overall in many different facets, to take initiatives that will make a difference. And I have taken several initiatives in several areas. I mean, you talk about on one occasion, and this gets to some of the ideas I have going into the future. On one occasion, we had to make an intervention in relation to a school in the constituency, which had a performance in the CPA, which was not great. And as a result of our intervention, we were able to, by providing lessons directly, we were able to dramatically improve the pass rate in that school in 1 year from in the 30s in terms of percentage pass rate to almost 80%, and then eventually to 100%. I believe that if we have the right systems in place, we could bring about fundamental improvements in all manner of student performance. And as a mathematician, I want to say, I have studied it. I have studied the statistics, for instance, in relation to the performance of students in mathematics. And as in addition to what we do already, one of the things I plan to do and implement as soon as possible, it might be sometime after the elections now because of the time frame, or certainly in the next academic year, is a program of free mathematics lessons for our 4th and 5th form students who are preparing for CXC, and also everybody in the constituency who want to do maths, because you know that there are many
Not just students, but
not just
adults as
students,
well,
because you know there are persons in adult education. I have, as a part of my mission and intention, the transformation of our national CXC mathematics pass rate from where it is now, I think it is in the 30s, to pretty near 100%. I mean, I am not somebody that I don't think that I could perform magic, but part of my commitment as a person, and I might be able to have some effect on this from a role in parliament or cabinet. I might be able to have an effect on this from my role in putting in place programs in the community. But I am going to help in that important national cause. And I'm also going to, in our community, institute a structured system of free lessons for all students who are doing CPA. And that is going to also have the result of increasing pass rates. Those are things that could be discussed in the fullness of time. I just mentioned them here quickly in response to some of the things that that were said by Mr. Thomas. And in relation to COVID-19, the COVID-19 policy, it is true that I was at the helm of the Ministry of Health when there was the first COVID-19 case in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and that I led the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. I led the country in such a way that I was able to attract favorable comment from the Pan American Health Organization, which recognized me for outstanding stewardship in health and development. It didn't just have to do with the COVID-19 pandemic, it had to do with many other things. And I think that that is a testament in and of itself. You know, we're talking about the vaccine mandate. In relation to the vaccine mandate, I think that I am someone who has a great deal of moral authority on the subject.
How so?
Not just because, well, I'm coming to tell you how so.
How so?
Because first of all, I could speak as somebody who has served as a minister, as the Minister of Health. And secondly,
that lends moral authority.
Well, but hold on, man. Where's your rush? See, I noticed when I talk in Bing, how your mic still on, but when you're talking, my mic wasn't on. You know? I think that is the case of a studio bias. but anyway, I think it was maybe 2022, maybe April 2022, if my memory serves me right. But in any case, before it was mainstream public policy that the persons who were affected by the vaccine mandate could return to work, and during a period of time when I was overseas studying, I made a public statement in a post on Facebook, essentially encouraging a situation or a position where these people should be able to return to work.
And do you still feel this way?
But of course, if I said that when it was not even the mainstream position of the party, how could you ask me if I still feel that way? Of course.
So why not lobby?
There's no
lobby the party, another thing.
There's no need to lobby the party on the matter, because, as I said, this is the mainstream position of the party. I mean, Jomo has his views. Jomo is involved as legal counsel for persons who have been affected by the mandate. I understand that they're taking their case to the Privy Council. But we must not forget here that the government has, to its advantage, so to speak, in this whole matter, a court of appeal judgment in its favor. Okay. Admittedly, the court in the High Court, the claimants, they won the victory there. The Court of Appeal overturned that in very serious and strong terms.
I gotta pause you there.
And despite that, the government has opened the door for them to be able to return to their jobs.
We gotta hold a pause there. I'm sure, Council, we got the next segment to begin right now. So thank you very much, Council. Catch you tomorrow morning, same time. All right?
Until we meet again.
Luke,
I need to speak with you later today on something else.
All right. No problem.
Okay, cool. Let's go. It's now time for the sugar man. It's now time for the doctor. It's now time for the one they call the short boss. Ras Moses, all the name from the Prime Minister's office. Here we go. Let's dance, folks. Let's dance. Let's dance, man. Lyndon B. Fit Vibes Cartel Money. You got one job to do, buddy. Imagine Vibes Cartel came straight out of jail and went to be fit. You got money, buddy. You got one job to do. Call him, get him in. Where's he coming? Where's he coming in? On the WhatsApp or on the direct line? Where's he? Where is he? Where is he? Oh, here he is. Here he is. Here he is. When I surrounded this morning now. I surrounded by the three of you this morning now. Oh gosh, I don't know where to make it. Morning, 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 morning.
Zaga 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 now.
Oh
Zaga
Lord have
zaga.
mercy. What a morning like we have now. Let's go.
Good morning to my comrade Shady. Shady is there, right?
Morning.
Shady, I'm not hearing. You must be relieved this morning. You have a little more balance in the studio this morning. So I'm hoping that you're feeling a little better. Don't get used to it though, because I'm very sure from tomorrow morning you're gonna. I'm on the phone. I'll be aware. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry there. But good morning to my comrade Luke.
Blessed.
Jesus,
What
Lord,
you
boy.
doing on NDP People Radio? What you doing on
Boy,
there?
I just trying to follow in your footsteps.
Somebody sent me a flyer yesterday. Said Luke going on nice radio number 2.
With the number two host. With the number two host.
Let me tell you something. I've been on nice radio number 1 2 already. You know? you forget I did walk in the studio one time when E.G. Lynch was on here.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
I shocked them to death.
Legendary. That was. So you do the whole tour now, so they can't hold you now. Oh my gosh! Enemy territory, behind enemy
Jesus,
lines.
Lord, boy. Imagine you're part of the enemy as well, too. Then.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Me? Don't call my name.
You hear every
Do
morning.
not
You
call
hear
my
every
name.
morning. You sound like me.
No,
Don't call my name. Don't call my name. That's what
Let
it said.
me cyanize. Who, me?
Morning, my brother. Good morning.
Good morning, Bing. Good morning to all the listeners on Boom this morning. I feel so good because I know anytime I rattle them, I normally see a certain set of comments and I see a particular, tone in the comments. And I'm seeing it this morning, so I know Luke has them rattled as well. And it's not just going to be Luke because on the weekend, Grace had an event in North Windward. And from the time that event took place, it's Bay Ward in North Windward. Everybody cussing. Well, not everybody who wear red, but the other people, they cussing whole weekend. They still cussing on also. And I figure the cussing will go on deep into the week. So I feel good, anytime I see those things. I want to big up Grace up there. And I want to big up Marvin as well in town. He had a wonderful event, did a fantastic job as well on the weekend. We've had a number of events on the weekend. Sadly, as well, last week, a number of persons lost their lives under tragic circumstances. There was Mr. King, well known in Green Hill, and my neighbor, know him very well. Been good to a lot of people, There was also a young man in Glen area. The heat of contention there over small issues, but we've had those things from time to time when people lose their temper and you let bad judgment get the better of you. Still tragic and regrettable. And then there was the incident at Leslie's place on Friday evening, in which she lost her life, along with two other individuals, 2 men. The police have been investigating. They've been making some linkages. They held their press conference. But I want to, say from our end, and I think Luke mentioned it earlier on this morning. We're not pleased. We're not happy. I think there are some people who sound happy that they're seeing a spike in things. They sound excited, but it is nothing to be excited about. We've had a relatively quiet period over the last 6 months, I should say. it's between December and now, relatively quiet, and it's in the interest of all right-thinking Vincentians to have it remain so. And I also want to commend the police for the work that they've been doing, preventative work, in curtailing the situation for the last 6 months. And I also know that over the weekend they have stepped up their surveillance. Uh, they've stepped up a number of other measures, all of which I can't mention here this morning. But I want to commend them, and I also want to commend the community, because by this morning I've heard reports of how many individuals have reached out to the police to assist with their investigations over the last few days. And that is really encouraging, because it shows there's growth in that area. I remember you and I had this conversation quite a few times within last year, especially, on how important it is for the community to get involved. And the last time we had this conversation, I think it was this year, and Major Leacock was on, my area rep. We were having that conversation, and he was making the same point, that the community has to get involved equally and has to have an equal interest in resolving these issues. So I'm very pleased and encouraged by that, and I want to continue to encourage all of us to do our part. And I want to speak specifically to the people who are involved in criminal activity. There are opportunities available, and easy lifestyle, quick money lifestyle is not necessarily a good lifestyle. It's not going to bear the fruits that you hope it will bear. And one of the things I pay attention to is the roles that are traditionally filled, or were traditionally filled by men, are now increasingly being filled by women. The average security guard, for instance, now is a woman. Well, teaching is entirely woman now. You'll be hard pressed to find male teachers in any institution. In fact, some of our educational institutions now are entirely female. On the construction site, you go to the construction site now, even there you're seeing a large increase in women on those sites. And for some reason, the men are staying away. And that's the reason for concern. That's something that we have to look into, because there are people who give you the infantile argument that, the men just can't find work. But if it is true, then how come the women are finding the same jobs? How come the women are filling the same roles? We see them. We go to these places, wherever they are, and we see the women performing these duties. So there must be a different reason, rather than they can't find work. And you talk to other people, other employers, business people, who tell you they have difficulties in filling particular roles. So it's a broader conversation that we need to have, but suffice to say, we have to continue to make the appeal to young men who are involved, mostly so, young men who are involved in these types of activities, to find alternative routes, which are more productive, both for yourself, your family, and for your community and your culture, the country at large. I'm looking forward to hear the discussion this morning with Comrade Brown. I see people trying to derail it, but Luke, don't let them derail you. I want to hear the discussion on CBI. Yeah. They're trying to, when you have a test match, Luke, and so they know they can't win. They can't win. So they're trying to bat out. Yeah. They're trying to bat out the rest of the 2 days.
Bat out the overs.
Bat out the overs, so that they get a draw. Don't let them get a draw, please.
No,
just
man.
Going hard.
For sure.
Because on the weekend, for instance, there was another article that came out on a scathing report on CBI from the IMF. Bing, you didn't see that one? I know you don't see them kind of things.
Look, you saw that one? You saw that one, Luke?
Well, I'm not sure if he's talking about the IMF, the Article 4 on St. Kitts, or if it was...
on St. Kitts, yeah,
of course.
Yeah. and it spoke specifically about one of the issues that we've been raising. And I've made this comparison, and I will make it again. The NDP's proposed foray into CBI at this juncture is the equivalent of if the Unity Labour Party had tried to get into government in the year 2001, selling the idea that we would plant the whole of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in bananas and we would be successful. Everybody knew then that it was dead. There were still revenues being generated, but the revenues were nothing compared to hitherto that point. And it is the same thing that's happening with CBI at the moment. It is crashing, and it is crashing hard. These economies that were heavily dependent on CBI are reeling.
Which economy? Which economy? Which economy is that?
All of them.
All of them?
All of them are seeing reduced levels of CBI money. Now, I will tell you.
Mr. Weeks, just give us a couple of minutes, please. Hey, go ahead.
I will tell you, for instance, right? And you look at people say actions speak louder than words. You look at, for instance, at Grenada, which really and truly, Grenada hadn't had a huge thrust. They were involved, but they didn't thrust so heavily into CBI. So they made more money, but more money is comparative, right? You said they tried harder, so they made a little more money. But in this year, over the last few years, they made some money. In this year, 2025, do you know how much money Grenada is borrowing? And the NDP come to tell us, let's do CBI. I heard Kishore last week. He said, we have all these loans. We ain't have to borrow no more loan again. We will remove personal income
if we had
tax,
to do a poll right now, both Luke and yourself, how do you think the people of St. Vincent will vote on the CBI?
Let me finish talking. I know you're trying to derail me, but I ain't gonna let you do that, right? So, as I was saying, so you have the NDP speaking in such glowing terms that we will make all this money, and here's Grenada next door. They're borrowing $800 million this year in loans, and they're doing CBI. The St. Lucians, similarly, 700 million. The Kittians, well, you know what's going on there. There's problems with this thing all around because the revenues are falling, and the revenues are falling for particular reasons. There is as the Gaston Brown said in his interview, the program is seriously under threat. And as Terence Yu, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts, said in his interview, that his country was wrong for depending so heavily on CBI, and it is not good economic strategy. Those are his words. So when the NDP is telling us, well, you know what they say? If Barack would have come out of Seawater and tell you, shark are toothing, you gotta believe.
Your time up.
What the below me nose?
Your mouth. Time up. Thank you very much, buddy. Catch you tomorrow morning, same time. All right? Yeah, thank you. Quickly, jump in. Is there anything that he said that you want to respond to?
Well, many things. I don't know if you want me to make a brief input or if you want me to make extended input. Yeah. But I think that what he said about the comparison he made in relation to the fact that this is the equivalent, or the NDP saying that they're going to rely on CBI as a part of their economic strategy is equivalent to the ULP in 2001 saying that we are going to go with banana. Now, I have really extensive views on CBI that don't really admit to a short answer as such. But we'll get
a lot of time. You have a lot of time. Let's go. It's now time for the most loved man on radio, Shady. Let's go. It's now time for Mr. Weeks. You ready for him?
With the most loved man on radio, Sir Lancelot is in the building.
Let's go, Shady. Let's bring him in. Mr. Weeks, it's now time for you. Let's go. On time as per usual. Good morning to you, Mr. Weeks. Good morning to you.
Mr. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Shady, Iman Gloucester. Morning, sir. Shady, good morning.
He responded, Mr. Weeks. He responded, yes.
They will turn off your mic. Mr. Brown. Luke Brown, good morning, sir.
Good morning to the most loved man on radio.
I actually, it started when I thought it was the complete opposite. I, at one time, don't remember anything, but I had said to Stephen, joke him, that after me, he
was the most loved?
The most disliked. After me, he was the most disliked.
You're fighting for pose now.
So I take it that, take it, look, thanks. Listeners, greetings. I hope everybody had a good weekend, and I have to pause before I say that because some circumstances over the weekend that would have spoiled the weekend of, if not all, so many of us. Mr. Brown, I want to give you some advice following on from what Candyman said to you. Sometimes you will know better than me. Sometimes the strategy is to bat out the period allocated for the match. But sometimes it gets worse than that. They will go overnight and dig up the ground. And even worse than that, they will do that not even overnight. Sometimes they do it as the match proceeds. And you know exactly what I'm talking about because my memory tells me that you were a batsman.
Spot on. I still like to fancy my chances, you know, but I don't know if I could face the hostile attacks on the cricket field these days. I'll take my chances in politics.
Yes.
As I can come ready to say he's still playing pan.
No.
So let no one dig up the ground for you.
Mr. Weeks, what are you trying that for? It can't be
Shady.
changed.
I'm coming to you.
Shady, Mr. Weeks trying to talk to you.
I'm coming to you.
Don't dig up the pitch.
Because I'm following on from that and I'm saying to you that there are many interviewers. Stephen, what's his name? That guy, I haven't heard him in a long time. I don't know if he's still on the BBC. I heard it on another international station this morning, one out of Singapore. And sometimes these persons who are interviewing, rather than attempting to get the interviewee provide the information that they have, they conduct the interview in such a way as though they are telling the interviewee what to say. That one is for you, Bing.
Thank you very much. I'm honored. I'm honored.
Bing, I want to go back to my what I ever considered to be a topic, an issue that I will pursue and pay attention to for as long as I live and I have the ability to do so. It's a governance issue and has to do with government accounts and the role of the Public Accounts Committee. Because there are some people who think I have been speaking about it for the last 10 years while I was no longer a member of the public service and think I am foolish because I am implicating myself. And what they don't understand, then, it is in my interest to see the Public Accounts Committee convened in a general sense, but more specifically, that document that they come on radio and speak about and read from it, and sometimes cross the line of defaming, because it's not everything that is in a document, no matter what authority it comes from, that can stand up to scrutiny. And as a public commentator, when you are going to speak on an issue, I think it is the best practice is to get as much of the information as possible related to that. And if you're going to read one document, the first thing you should ask yourself, is there a response to this document? And for years I have been saying that there's a response to this document. And it is my hope that when the one that they read from is read into the records of the Parliament, that the second document that they are pretending that doesn't exist, it will be read into the documents. It become a document of the Parliament as well. So in times to come, when persons are doing the research, they will be able to read both documents side by side. And you see that statement that the PS excluded certain officials from doing their duties so that the PS can get to do what he wants to do. Any person who is involved in defense work would see the bias in that, and especially, it's not a conclusion. It is one of the first statements at the front of the audit. And to me, as a person who have had to defend persons in the past, when I see that statement, if I had seen that statement, first question I would ask, isn't this an attempt? Isn't this a clear defining of a witch hunt? Because up front, you're setting up a motive even before you start your work. And I must say to my friends who feel that they can use that situation to shut me up, because that was the original intention of that audit. And I'm not saying the auditor attempted to do that, but there are others who are behind the audit who believe that they can shut me up. There are others who are behind the audit who believe that they could have shut me up. And now there are persons who are trying to use it. Persons who want to use me as a proxy in their family issues and target me publicly for using it. But it never did, and it will never, because I know, for example, the equipment that they're talking about, the washing machines and everything, that document when the item is delivered. All of those documents was submitted to the Director of Audit subsequent to the publication of the audit report. All of those delivery notes with the signature of the persons in the various facilities who received them. I have said time and time again that large food purchase that they're talking about, and given the implication that for some reason Weeks bought that entire home for his family to have a party, I can present evidence that I was not even in the country when that purchase was made. And nothing to do with it. I've said it time and time again.
Mr. Weeks, why are you giving this issue legs, though? I mean, speaking
No,
about
I'm not giving it legs.
Speaking about it is giving it legs.
I am not giving it legs, Bing. Let me tell you what is happening here, Bing. The three sets of listeners here. You may not know that, but I know that very well. There are three sets of listeners here. There's a 40% of your listeners who listen here to hear what they think they already know. And that is on both sides. You hear it here. But there's a 10% being who are independent, who know and understand how things are to be done, and it is very useful for them to get that information. What you are doing, Bing, you are doing the same thing that they're trying to do, to have me shut up and not speak about the laziness of the opposition leader and his team.
How did we go from how did we go to that? How did we get to that really? That I'm trying to shut you up from not speaking about the opposition and the laziness. How did we get to that?
You don't see how we got to it, Ben?
No. All I was saying to you all I was saying to you is that why were you giving that issue legs? By speaking about it, you giving it legs. So how did we get to how lazy the leader of the opposition is?
So you're saying to me, Ben, don't speak about the issue.
No, Mr. Weeks, you know that you can speak about anything in your segment. I am just merely asking you a question. In my opinion, from my training as in public relations, I know that if you bring up something that has been gone so how many years ago, that you're giving it legs.
I am not bringing it up, Bing. I am not the one bringing it up. It is what was. Well, I didn't even hear it on Friday because I didn't have time to listen. I was there doing the people's work. I was out doing the people's work. But I received the report about the extensive reading from it. You were here last week, and you see Susan more than one occasion.
I don't know what was done. So maybe I'm in the dark with regards to that matter.
So when you're telling me about bringing it up from the past, what you're saying, I should not speak about it, and I should not enlighten those 10% of people who want to hear. That's effectively what you're doing. It may not have been your intention, but effectively that's what you're doing. And I'm saying that nobody can shut me up. Not on that issue, because I firmly believe that the leader of the opposition is incompetent, he's lazy, and the issues related to the non-functioning of the work of the Public Accounts Committee, that is what is at the heart of it. And I will continue to speak about it because I feel strongly about it that this constitutional function that a lawyer has the responsibility to lead on has not been taken place. On the matter of CBI, I have not spoken here on it. But I want to say one thing. I have, and I don't even think I need to say that, in terms of my training and my practice of economics, and more particularly as it relates to the data and the functioning of an economy generally. Because one who compiles the national accounts of a country, and especially in a small country like this, where practically you're doing it alone until the folks from the World Bank or from the ECCB come in to validate the work that you have done, you get a good picture of how the economy works. And I had that experience. So I'm not even going to speak about, at this time, the CBI in that regard. What I want to speak about in terms of CBI is fundamentally what they're doing to this citizenship, what persons are promoting in terms of putting our citizenship in a container like bananas and sending it off to Europe and Asia to go on the market and be sold. That's basically what the European court said, and I didn't have to wait on them to tell me that, because I, for the longest while, have been talking about our citizenship and who we are, most times in a different way from the popular opinion. I see myself as a Caribbean person, a citizen of the Caribbean, one out of the Caribbean civilization, and I know that those of us in this makeup, we are different from what those who argue in the mainstream define us to be. We are a people that came from many places in terms of ethnicity, in terms of culture, in terms of all the fundamentals of our society and communities. And we have mixed up all of that, and we have become a resilient, an innovative, a group of persons, a hard-working set of people. And that's how I see us in terms of our citizenship. It is something that should be respected and guarded. It's not supposed to become part of commerce, as the Europeans said. And that's my basic argument about the CBI. Fundamentally, investments are made by persons who want to make profits. I repeat, investments, by definition, are resources put out in order to make a profit on it. That's what investment is by definition. Go to any dictionary and you would see it written some way, somehow, in a similar fashion. Profit. As somebody who have read economics, it's not always profit in the sense of money. It could be profit in the sense of your society good things coming out of your society. So there are those who invest in societies that way, in communities that way, because they believe that it would make the community better. It would allow the community to produce more good.
Mr. Weeks, 2 minutes, please. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Ben. So, I think those who are arguing that we should commercialize our citizenship, put it in a container, send it to Europe, send it to Asia to be sold in the same way we did our bananas in the past. I think it's perverse. I think it's vulgar. It is unacceptable. And that's how strongly I feel about it. Bing, I will not take the 2 minutes. I'll give you some of it. Hopefully we can talk again some other time. Have a great week, man.
Got you up to us
Mr. Brown, I'm listening to you.
All right. Mr. Brown, he's listening to you. He'll be listening to you. All right. Catch you on Thursday morning, Mr. Weeks. All right. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to go straight into you, Luke. I know we're going to give you your time to let's go. A lot of people are waiting to hear from you on your version of the CBI program. All right. So let's take a quick commercial break and come right back.
OMG in the morning.
St. Vincent, are you ready for the most...
Let's go! Boom 1069, the sound setter of radio.
Young got no one that back calling me splurge. Why me jump right off the curb?
New year, different lane.
We gon' spin and kill everybody. And we're telling now. Bend that over, let that breathe. Shake that.
Boom 1069.
Hands on your knees.
Unleash the sound revolution now on Boom 1069.
You're watching IKTV, channel 112. It's all about you.
For that.
Paddler's Diapers. Paddlers for comfort, care, and cost. Absorbent, long-lasting diapers for babies and adults. I will only give my loved ones the best. Paddlers are available at Lanes and selected distributors. Lanes, the family store for value.
This isn't just a run.
With each step begins a new journey. A journey of determination, persistence, and self-discovery. With each step, I embark on a quest to push myself beyond expectations, beyond standards. Each stretch, a reminder of the flexibility of the human spirit. With each step, I am breaking barriers. As I push to the finish, I'm filled with pride, not just for what I've achieved today, but for the journey that has brought me here. This isn't just a run. It's a testament to the human spirit, and I am here for it. Island Sips. Beyond standards, beyond expectations, beyond water.
Meet Mom. She's not just the wake up at the crack of dawn, make breakfast, and pack bags kind of mom. She also gets her fitness game on. Yeah, she's the don't let anyone forget anything kind of mom. At the same time, she's the runs her own business, closing deals kind of mom, who finds time to get down and boogie with the kids after school, remodel the house, bake cake, host dinner, and even play her favorite game at the end of the day kind of mom. So let's celebrate Mom, because to us, she's so much more.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here.
Let we go now. As the sun rise, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. A blessing. It's a blessing, yeah. No carnival, no more stress. We don't wanna stress. No. We just wanna be free. Peace from everywhere, glad to be here. They're ready for the mass and fun. Nothing compared, so give life a check. Best mass. Now we jamming at the July sun. Having a time of a life. Yes, we having a time. Everywhere's pandemonium. Having a time of a life. We doing the dirty dance. We sick now we cranium. Having a time of a life. Yes, we having a time. Everywhere's pandemonium. Having a time of a life. We doing the dirty dance. We sick now we cranium. Oh, it's a carnival season. Oh, we sick now we cranium. Oh, everywhere's pandemonium. Oh, we sick now we cranium.
So we're back inside, and this is where we're gonna get into it now. This is where we're gonna get into why he is really here and what he's here to talk about. The CBI program. I know the controversy is going. We're getting left, we're getting right. I asked Mr. Candyman if elections were to call today on the issue of CBI, where would it go? Let's get your analysis and get your position on this all right now.
Yeah, man. Well, you mentioned that this is why I came in studio today, but honestly, I came in studio with an open mind and prepared to discuss any topic that you throw at me, and I know that you are famous for throwing all different all different types of topics. You know, you don't enter the studio being unprepared for anything. But as this song was saying there, I think not only in Carnival you have a time of your life, I'm having a time of my life here in studio, good time. And one part of it was the fact that I was able to to essentially sit at the feet of wisdom here this morning, including the feet of the Lancelot Weeks, who just made his contribution there. I think that it was a carefully considered contribution, and I think he is a gentleman who has a lot of insight and information on the economy, somebody who I respect, and I noticed that in a program some time ago, he had the need to educate one of your guests about the economic sectors in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the classification of those economic sectors, and he might have to educate them on the matter of CBI.
Wow. You had to go there.
Yeah,
You
well.
you heard everything. You heard everything.
I pay attention. And the thing is, when we come to CBI, I think a point of departure, an important point of departure, it takes me back to what Candyman said earlier as well, that to say that your policy for this day and age for St. Vincent and the Grenadines is primarily based on CBI is equivalent to the Unity Labour Party in 2001, saying its policy was primarily based on banana. Now, why do we say this? We say this because of the signs of the time. I mean, we just had in hand, I think it was delivered on the 29th of April this year, a judgment from the European Court of Justice on precisely this subject, a citizenship by investment program, which was being carried out by Malta. Now, what the objection, one of the principal objections in that case, was the fact that this program allowed persons from all over the world, persons with different types of backgrounds, and that is a part of the conversation that we will get into later, essentially to gain European Union citizenship by becoming a citizen of Malta. Now, that was the problem that they were attempting to solve. People becoming members of the citizens of the EU because of a citizenship by investment program in Malta. And it was precisely because of that prospect or possibility that people were applying for citizenship of and trying to get passports of Malta in the first place to get in there. So when I see that, I see a corresponding situation with our reality. Because let's face it, why would somebody be interested in a passport for St. Kitts and Nevis, or St. Lucia, or Grenada, or Dominica, or Antigua and Barbuda, or St. Vincent and the Grenadines for that matter? Because it gives them access to certain benefits. And one of those principal benefits that figure in their imagination may be benefits that are associated with a relaxation of travel restrictions on them. But we have seen a clampdown of the regime in Europe precisely because they didn't want these persons to get the broader benefits of EU citizenship. And equally, it is predictable, I would say, for there to be a similar clampdown in relation to programs such as those that we have in the Eastern Caribbean, because they don't want persons to gain visa-free access, for instance, to the United Kingdom. They don't want persons to have visa-free access because this is the same European Union at play. They don't want persons to have visa-free access to the Schengen zone, Austria, Czech Republic, all different parts of Europe, because they have these passports, even though they are from countries they are otherwise from countries, they're natives of countries that otherwise would require passports to enter into these places. So when they close the door shut in relation to EU citizenship, the next step, and an easy next step for them, is to close the door shut in relation to these programs in the Eastern Caribbean and elsewhere. So we cannot hitch our economic wagon to that star. We cannot say that this is something that is going to take us to the promised land. And this is before a consideration of all the issues associated with the program. So we cannot say that this is going to take us to the promised land at all. And I think that we should take note of those writings on the wall. And before we even get into some of the other aspects of it, apart from the fact, so it is probably going to close down, and we have to pay attention to that. And then really and truly, the economic reality, people who argue for CBI talk about it as being some sort of economic imperative, as being the basis for some kind of economic salvation. But the truth is, and I'm speaking specifically for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, other countries must speak for themselves in this regard. I do not see citizenship by investment as an economic imperative for St. Vincent and the Grenadines whatsoever. And this is based on several very objective facts. We have, for instance, right now, based on a recent report which was released by the World Bank, St. Vincent and the Grenadines has the second highest economic growth rate in Latin America and the Caribbean, after just Guyana. And Guyana is an outlier because they just recently discovered oil. So we have the second highest economic growth rate in Latin America and the Caribbean without citizenship by investment. We have a situation where there's a growing number of jobs available in the economy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines without citizenship by investment. Persons talk about how in Dominica, citizenship by investment, for instance, is being used to fund an airport. We have the Argyle International Airport, which as of now is turning a profit. And as of now, on that loan, we only owe $170 million without CBI. We are engaging in many fundamental matters of public policy and financing projects of development without CBI. Now, this is an important thing for us to keep in mind when we have this whole discussion about CBI going on, that we are getting along with it. And I would like really for persons to look behind this curtain and get to the economic fundamentals of the matter. And the economic fundamental is the fact that the government, and I look at the government in this sense as being a public enterprise that has a responsibility for bringing about economic growth in this country, because economic growth is connected to our objectives of development. A public enterprise that has a responsibility for bringing about jobs in the economy. A public enterprise that has a responsibility for growing its level of revenue through, of course, taxation. And I'm not talking about taxation as an income tax and so on. I'm talking about taxes that you will likely earn as a result of expansion in economic activity. So we have more hotels here. We are able to collect more revenue as a result of greater guest nights. That is going to bring more revenue to the government and put the government in a better position to do its job. So when we talk about all these things, we have to talk about CBI in the context that it allows us to achieve all these things. Or we have to talk about an economic strategy rather in a context that allows us to achieve these things. And I see there as being 4 essential parts of an economic strategy that allows us to do this. And if you look at the example in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you will see us taking these elements into consideration. First of all, you have to consider, if you want to talk about the economy, you have to consider the fact that most of our growth in economic growth and most of our growth in jobs will be associated with the formation of new companies. Most of the growth doesn't have to do with CBI. It has to do with the formation of new companies. So what we should be hearing from anybody interested in the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is, what are you going to do to help with the formation of new companies? We don't have to wait on shady persons to come here and buy our passports to say that is how our economy is going to grow. No, tell me what you're doing in St. Vincent and the Grenadines right now to make sure that there's a broader cross-section of opportunity for people to form their companies. Tell me what you're doing about access to capital for small businesses. If you want to talk about the economy of this country, tell me what you're doing about access to capital for small businesses. Tell me what you're doing about making sure that small businesses have the expertise that they require to grow. These are fundamental things. And so that's one plank, and that is we're able to elaborate on that. The other plank is you have to put in place infrastructure which is required for your economy. And this government has shown that it is able to put in place the infrastructure that is relevant to our economy. And when you put in place this infrastructure that is relevant to our economy, you attract investment. You attract investment without CBI, which and we know that investment in CBI could often be tainted. We attract investment in the same way that we have been able to attract investment over the years. The government, for instance, built an airport in a difficult period of time for the world economy. As a result of building that airport, we have had as a clear investment in sandals, for instance. That is foreign direct investment. Remember, CBI is supposed to be some strategy for attracting foreign direct investment, but we are attracting foreign direct investment without it right now. We are growing the economy without it right now. We are getting jobs for Vincentians without it right now, and in wholesome ways over which there is no real dispute. So we have sandals, and we're not only attracting foreign direct investment, because foreign investment is not the only mechanism that could be used to grow our economies. We could have local investment. as well in relation to growing our economies. So in addition to Sandals, we have Myers Suites, we have an expansion of Hotel Alexandrina, we have local persons standing up to the ready and investing. And I don't even want to talk about it on a big scale to make you think that the only persons who are investing are people who are in the hotels sector and in other sectors like that. No, because you have an investment on a daily basis from the persons who decide that, look, boy, the airport is there, the flights are coming in, the hotels are there, visitor arrivals going through the roof. These people who come into this country, they're going to need transportation. So a taxi man might say, boy, let me take this opportunity to catch a piece of this action by buying a new vehicle. They might invest in a Noah. I see that there's some special type of Toyota vehicles right now which are being used often for transportation. They might decide to invest in a big bus. This might not be related to Sandals. This might be related to the fact that we have greater cruise tourism coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines right now. They might decide to invest in a catamaran so that they could do tours. They might build themselves up so that they could become tour guides and be a part of the action. This is the kind of thinking that we need about economic development and about investment in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A holistic type of thinking that has in fact resulted in tremendous growth for St. Vincent. Nobody from certainly the Eastern Caribbean could come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and purport to lecture us about how to bring about economic growth, because we are the leader, and we are not the leader by chance. We are not the leader by happenstance. We are the leader as a result of carefully calibrated public policy. And you see, when we achieve success in one area, we don't say, let we just leave it there and rest on our laurels. Because apart from what we've done already, we've seen an initiative right now, an initiative which has been embarked upon by our Honorable Minister of Culture in the United Kingdom. Because another plank of the economic strategy, I told you about the need for us to make sure that we assist with the formation of new businesses and support for entrepreneurs in various ways. That could take many different channels, and the opportunity to elaborate on some of those things would come. I'm talking about putting in place infrastructure that will serve to attract investment. The other thing which I think is very important, and we see in this in terms of the actions of the government as well, has to do with the fact that we need to unlock markets for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Right now, some people think about a market as being overseas. So when we talk about opening up markets for our tourism and so on, we talk about going overseas and opening up the market as if it is there. But the market is not really there. The market is here. The market, this is the place where you buy and sell. What we do is basically unlock barriers to this market that exists overseas. So right now, in the United Kingdom, because we don't do much promotion of our tourism here, or don't do enough promotion of our tourism, that market is basically locked off from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we are going there not with a key, but with a star to unlock those markets and to give persons the opportunity. You see the black cabs in London, they're going to be having on display images of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to capture the imagination of people and to tell them, look, there's a tourism market in St. Vincent, and in this market, you could get the best type of services. You're going to get the best. There's so many cultural attractions. There's so many tourism sites. There are the wonders of the Grenadines. There you could have heritage tourism here. So when we go to other places across the world, open up our offices there, expand the operations of our offices there, we are unlocking this potential for St. Vincent, and we see that this is having results. So, and there's also a component of education as well, because if we're going to have a certain type of economy, if we're going to have an economy in which tourism is a factor, if we're going to have an economy in which agriculture is a factor, if we're going to have an economy based on sports, because this gives me another illustration here. We put in place infrastructure, because I'm talking about how you put in place infrastructure and then you get investment as a result. We put in place the airport and we get Sandals. We put in place the Arnersville playing field and we get World Cup cricket coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The government has a clear, sensible, sound policy in this. And in addition to, so we're talking about Economic strategy, support the small businesses. Economic strategy, put in place the infrastructure that will attract the investments. Economic strategy, unlock markets through specialized marketing initiatives. Economic strategy number 4 for me is making sure that we have persons who have the skills, whatever skills may be required, that have the knowledge, whatever knowledge would be required to serve our economy. So the skills and knowledge, relevant skills and knowledge will have to be whatever is required in the tourism sector. And we're not doing tourism to the exclusion of everything else. We also have an interest in agriculture. And we're not doing tourism and agriculture alone. We also are looking at manufacturing, including light manufacturing. And this will bring us to many other matters, because when you see we building the port is not a standalone thing. The port is something that would make manufacturing more viable. So, and we'll talk about the port. We ain't talking about the port now.
No, we're not talking. I'm not coming to the port. I'm coming. I mean, you've just dashed everything at me in terms of economic growth and what can be used and all that. So you're saying that we have all of these pillars that can generate our economy to grow it better and higher. That we don't need anything else. That we should not come look at any additional thing to bring revenues to the country. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I am saying that our strategy, our mission of bringing growth to our country has to be based on certain principles. And
right, and this principle is, and I am saying, hold on. And this principle that you're talking about is in someone's head that you pushing that there's a jumbie under the bed. Right? That if we sell our passport, a jumbie under the bed, that these bad people who buy the passport will come. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying.
Because in St. Lucia, in Dominica, in St. Kitts, in Antigua, we've not heard of any situation where any of these kind of people that have been pushed by the Unity Labour Party will buy up all these passports and come into the country and do this and do that. We've not heard of any of these situations.
Well, we will come to that, but what I'm saying is that the Unity Labour Party has effectively said through its actions and its programs and its policies that the principles on which our push for economic development in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be based are the principles of supporting small businesses in this country, the principles of putting in place the infrastructure that we require, the principles of unlocking markets, the principles of making sure that the citizens of this country have the tools required to do the jobs which are going to be a part of the economy. Those are the 4 principles. And equally, so we're talking about a principled approach to development. And equally, we are saying that we do not believe that one of our principles is that we do not believe that treating passports as a commodity for sale is an appropriate way to develop our country and our economy. We are doing this in a principled way.
Many years ago, I raised the issue of our flag, all right, on the seas. The fact that we sell, we make a lot of money from ships carrying our flags. Could you tell me what's the difference? Many years ago, I brought that issue up. Is there a difference between the selling of our passport and seeing our flag on a Lucky Star, for example? What's the difference there? When we make money, we generate lots of money from that industry. Well, what's the difference?
There's a fundamental difference. Persons are shipping, in relation to that, persons would be carrying out shipping exercises under our flag. And that is different from somebody.
Isn't that even more dangerous? No, isn't that even more? I mean, we've heard of situations where ships carrying our flag have been carrying all sort of things before.
No, there's nothing comparable, in my view, between these 2 scenarios. And in relation to what is really objectionable, I think, and this is something which has now been the subject of a very significant judgment in the arena. The Malta judgment, I believe, should shape our perspective and our views on this. This is a regime that is coming to an end and a regime that is not sustainable. And for what it's worth, we have said that we are taking the principled position of not treating our citizenship and passport as a commodity for sale, not involving ourselves in the prostitution of selling passports, so to speak. And it is a very important principled position that is being taken. And now, so it is not an economic imperative for us. We are doing it on the basis of a principled position in circumstances where there is an unfavorable international order in respect of selling passports and treating this as a commodity. And then to complete, I suppose, the argument, you have to talk about the experience of some of our colleague countries, because you mentioned, or people who make a case for passports say that there are economic benefits to it. I have already told you what I believe would be a more effective economic strategy.
But you've not said that there are no economic benefits.
What I would say is this. I would quote in this matter a statement from a foundation, the Daphne Foundation. I'll just refer to it I'll refer to it in a summary way. The Daphne Foundation, and this is something connected to the same judgment out of Malta. Our research shows that investment migration programs bring little benefit to Malta. They talk about Malta in this case. Now, they are talking about Malta. So this is authority on it. They bring little economic benefit there. And this is consistent with our own anecdotal experience in the region. You have to, and when you consider this, you have to wonder what is behind this great push for this citizenship by investment here. They brought little benefit to Malta. We also heard the newly installed Grenada leader of the opposition, Pampa, setting against it. When Jomo was on air this morning, he said, look, Grenada, which is sort of a newcomer to citizenship by investment, made this amount of money, a whole lot of money in 2 years or 2.5 years under this new administration. And that is because they are newcomer to the whole matter. But what he did not say, and what people often omit in the analysis, is that the leader of the opposition said, look, yes, this is the case. You have made how much ever money from this. In fact, I think they were saying that in that period of time, they've made $1 billion or something like that. But you have nothing to show on the ground for this $1 billion that you...
Well, isn't that relative according to how you use the money? But can you answer me the question, please? Mm-hmm. Can we make money from citizenship by investment?
We could make money from many different things. First of all, I'm saying here...
Specifically, can we make money from it?
In answering that question, I am saying that the economic benefit of it, or the chance of us making money from it that is beneficial, is very small.
How do we know?
Because I have just cited what the research shows in relation to Malta.
The result in Europe.
In Europe, yes. I'm just saying here, and then I brought it home. I didn't leave it there. I brought it home by letting you know about the complaint which was made in relation to Grenada. I want to let you know about a similar complaint which was made in relation to St. Kitts and Nevis. In fact, we saw the IMF report about St. Kitts and Nevis. And this was something which was stated and reinforced and reiterated by the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. In addition to that, we have the experience of St. Lucia. And the experience of St. Lucia is something which is utterly glaring. Because we had Alan Chasney, former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, talking about citizenship by investment there. And what he said in relation to citizenship by investment there is that, look, you have a company which is selling passports. And this company, the financing model that has been applied there is a situation where the company gives the government a loan of, say, $100 million US. And this allows to carry out some type of infrastructure project. And this gives the company, and under the contract, this gives the company the right to sell a certain quota of passports. And from the sale of this quota of passports, you're going to have a situation where the company could earn up to $1.5 billion.
At present, let me pause it there. At present, do we make any money from our passports?
We don't make money from passports as selling passports for a commodity.
We don't.
I know that.
Wait. Whether as a commodity, or not.
We make money.
Do we make money from our passports?
We make money from our passports because you go and pay the immigration officer.
No.
For your passport.
Do we make money from our passports from persons who are non-Vincentians? No. Shady, you've got a clip there for me. Play it for me, please.
The Vincentian citizenship of British-born fraudster Dave Ames is once again in focus in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This time it surrounds Vincentian passports and citizenship by investment, CBI. In 2022, Prime Minister Raul Gonzalez, who gave Ames Vincentian citizenship, said Ames never had a Vincentian passport.
I have no doubt that he had his own reasons for wanting to be a citizen of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But he has never had a passport from St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
However, this is what the Prime Minister said on the topic on Monday.
Ames, there was no allegation.
The Vincentian citizenship of British-born fraudster Dave Ames is once again in focus in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This time it surrounds Vincentian passports and citizenship by investment, CBI. In 2022, Prime Minister Raul Gonzalez, who gave Ames Vincentian citizenship, said Ames never had a Vincentian passport.
I have no doubt that he had his own reasons for wanting to be a citizen of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But he has.
Whether or not David Ames had a Vincentian passport, how did he get it? And where is it?
Well, the truth of the matter is, he got a passport under. If he got a passport, and
yes,
he got a passport under the laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and people
how under the laws of St. Vincent
under the laws of St. Vincent, and people make it.
As what? When did he get it? When did he get it? Do we know when did he get it?
Well, we're not whether or not we know when we get it. What we know is that Dave Ames was associated with St. Vincent and the Grenadines for a number of years. He built a resort here. We cannot in any honesty compare the situation with Dave Ames with a situation with somebody who could just stay wherever they are and buy a Vincentian passport. It is a different situation altogether. It is, if you want to say that we need checks and balances in every aspect of our life, then fine. A Vincentian citizen is capable of doing things which are untoward, but that does not mean that there was something or a flaw in the process by which he got his citizenship, and if he got a passport by which he got a passport, because the law right now is currently configured. I don't know if I'd be able to pull up the
so you need 5 to 7 years. 5 to 7 years.
The act to you. It says it need to 5 to 7 years. But you know the thing, and there are also other things which tie in to that 5 to 7 years.
What about
is
William
that the
Wise?
same? Huh?
William Wise. What about Mr. Wise?
Well, these guys have a connection to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Let me tell you.
What's Mr. Wise? What was his connection?
Well, you would be in a better position because of your age to tell me that. But the point I'm making here is that, look, an opposition to citizenship by investment programs is not an opposition to people being able to become citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. People could become, and in fact, the judgment of the European Court is not an opposition to people being able to become citizens of Malta or citizens of any other European country. It just says that the citizenship must be based on genuine connection and not just a shallow financial contribution. That's the point that we're making.
But how do you know that the structures that will be used would just be, as you said, someone staying in another country and sending the money and getting their passport shipped to them?
Well, that's the citizenship by investment program. That is the configuration of citizenship by investment programs. If you have a different structure, then you have to call it by a different name. Because citizenship by investment programs amount to a selling of passports. So if you change that construct, we already have a regime by which people could become citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We already have that in place in our law. What we are saying, as I just mentioned there, is that it requires more than financial grounds. What I am saying is that it requires a genuine connection. Our citizenship should be based on the grants of citizenship, should be based on that genuine connection. We must not commodify our passports. It is unnecessary for our economy. It is bad in principle, and it is fraught with a whole set of undesirable practices that are not necessary for us to encounter in this march to development in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And on that note, we gotta pull it. 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 Just
to say, it was good being in studio with you. I look forward to being in studio with you again. And to go back to, in closing, go back to a comment that my good friend Jomo made. He said, "Well, look, Luke is running in East Kingston for a fourth time now."
Fifth time. Fifth time.
Well, he said fifth, and we corrected him to fourth.
Yeah.
And Jomo, put himself in the position of the people of East Kingston and said, well, boy, I am certain to lose in the constituency. But Jomo doesn't make that comment with any real great degree of conviction, you know, because I am very sure that the same very Jomo Thomas, who is a registered man in East Kingston, will vote for me on election day. I am sure that he will vote for me on election day.
On what grounds?
And I am sure that he has voted for me before as well.
On what grounds?
On the grounds that he knows that I am the better person to take forward the agenda for the development of the constituency, on the ground that he knows that I have a genuine connection to East Kingston, and as a result of that genuine connection, I have a commitment to serving the people there. As a result of the fact that he knows that I will bring a carefully organized plan to the table for the execution of this. And so therefore, and being you too, you are a man from East Kingston too.
Yes, I voted in East Kingston. I voted in East Kingston.
Don't feel I forget you and I leave you out, you know. You understand? Ultimately, the people of the constituency will make the decision on election day, and keep this in mind, that I have been running in the most difficult constituency for the Labour Party on mainland St. Vincent, a constituency that has never been won by Labour since 1984, when Arthur Williams demitted office. And notwithstanding those facts, I have increased, and in the last election, I was also running in a situation where there was a swing against the Unity Labour Party. But notwithstanding that, in every election since 2010 to 2015 and to 2020, I have increased the Unity Labour Party vote in that constituency, in the most difficult constituency, in the most difficult conditions. I have increased the vote, and we're going to increase it all the way to victory in 2025. Thanks for having me in studio this morning.
Shady, play this applause. What's your applause for, Shady? What's your applause for? While you've heard the man, he's presented his case to you, and you will make your decision. Yes, he's presented his case to you on the matter of citizenship by investment, as we had a number of persons from the New Democratic Party presenting their case to you as well, too, on citizenship by investment. And he's presented his case to you that should he be running as a candidate for East Kingston, that you should vote for him too. All right, this is OMG in the morning. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we got Dr. Richards to come. Let's take a commercial break, and we come right back to you right here on OMG Monday morning.
The Patriot Company Limited, with services.
Let's go! Boom 106.9, the sound setter of radio.
Young got no money back calling me splurge. Why me jump right off the curb?
New year, different lane.
We gon' spin and kill everybody. And we're telling now. Bend that over, let that breathe. Shake that.
Boom 106.9.
Hands on your knees.
Unleash the sound revolution now on Boom 106.9.
You're watching IKTV, channel 112. It's all about you.
For that.
Paddler's Diapers. Paddlers for comfort, care, and cost. Absorbent, long-lasting diapers for babies and adults. I will only give my loved ones the best. Paddlers are available at Lanes and selected distributors. Lanes, the family store for value.
This isn't just a run. With each step begins a new journey. A journey of determination, persistence, and self-discovery. With each step, I embark on a quest to push myself beyond expectations, beyond standards. Each stretch, a reminder of the flexibility of the human spirit. With each step, I am breaking barriers. As I push to the finish, I'm filled with pride. Not just for what I've achieved today, but for the journey that has brought me here. This isn't just a run. It's a testament to the human spirit, and I am here for it. Island Sips, beyond standards, beyond expectations, beyond water.
Meet Mom. She's not just the wake up at the crack of dawn, make breakfast and pack bags kind of mom. She also gets her fitness game on. Yeah, she's the don't let anyone forget anything kind of mom. At the same time, she's the runs her own business, closing deals kind of mom, who finds time to get down and boogie with the kids after school, remodel the house, bake cake, host dinner, and even play her favorite game at the end of the day kind of mom. So let's celebrate Mom, because to us, she's so much more.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses call upon us.
Wake up with the real Badman Bing and DJ Shady.
Time to start this. How we embrace the darkness. No Disney World. Boy, if you come to play your march, show me one finger. If you're dirty on your march, show me two finger. When we shell it down, we better than 10 ninja. Ascard, if your party too clean, we go. Rank it up, think behavior. Rank it up, think behavior. Rank it up, we mash up and then it up. Think behavior. Rank it up, think behavior. Rank it up, everything we pelt it up. Because we had bad food, bad people, so we look bad. Think behavior. We rank it up, think behavior. We rank it up.
I know a lot of folks trying to get in. However, unfortunately, we're going to take Doc early. And we're going to come back after Dr. Richards. And we'll see what we can do to take some of your calls. Okay, I know the phone lines have been going non-stop. Please, I need one line for Dr. Richards because he's on the road. And he definitely cannot make it on his usual line. So he needs to get in on the fixed line. So can we please clear a line for me, please? Bring Doc drop for me, please. And let's go with him, Shady. Let's bring his drop. Go ahead.
Let's check in with the dot. Let's check in with the dot. Let's check in with the dot and look at things with a wider lens. Pastor Richards on OMG.
Those of you who call in, please give me a line. Give me one of these lines, please. I know the phone lines. Good morning, is this Doc?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Doc.
Hey, what's up?
Yes, thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you very well. You're lucky to get in. You're so lucky to get in.
Everybody wants a piece of Luke this morning.
Yeah, I tell you. Let's go quickly, Doc. Let's go.
Yeah, I won't be long because I know I've been as a guest. So I want to frame my commentary, and I want my listeners to understand that Luke is probably there in his capacity in politics, correct? So given his political profile, that's why he's there. And I think that is what mars a lot of our Vincentian, our view of our Vincentians, let me put it this way, that we see them mainly, maybe even exclusively, by dint of their political profile. And so there's a lot of coloring that goes into how we see our fellow Vincentians. Luke is someone that I have known forever, well, for a very, very long time, very close ties. And my estimation and how I want to present Luke in the way that I know him, I don't want it to be colored by politics. Luke is among those I consider to be an outstanding Vincentian. There are many like that. Some of his caliber, others up and coming on both sides of the political spectrum. You have outstanding young men like these in the NDP camp. Please note that, and please let's applaud and cheer them on. Young men and women, by the way, because I've commented on some of the women on that side. And you have outstanding young men and women on the ULP side. And let's commend and cheer them on. Luke is one of those that outside of politics that I have a very, very high regard for. Notice I said this is not a political commentary. Recently I've had occasion, all my life, well, all of his life, a long portion of his life, had an occasion to watch and view him ever since he was a young man in grammar school. But most recently here, well, I attended his wedding, and I think right after I attended his wedding, I was about to comment on something that struck me about Luke, again, outside of politics. The way he spoke about his wife. At that time, that was on the day when they're going to get married. At the reception, the way he spoke about his wife on that occasion, and the kind of husband that he is endearing to be. And that really struck me, and I thought that was exemplary and commendable for Vincentian men. Whether you are ULP or NDP, I was proud of him as a Vincentian, saying, this is my wife, this is why I chose her, these are the values that I look for in her, and these are the values in myself that I'm going to live up to as a husband. I really wanted to commend that to all of Vincentian, which is why right after his wedding I was going to talk about that. Really, really commendable. And then he spoke also about his family upbringing, and he talked particularly about his relationship with his brother, Theo. But he talked about some other things related to family upbringing, and I thought this is remarkable. Now I know that not all families are in the position and have the same set of circumstances, but he was talking about in his circumstance and what he endured to. I picked up a little bit on his scholarship, and we don't have a lot of people that can say in these parts of the Caribbean, and much less in Vincent, that they are Rhodes Scholar, RHODES. Look it up and see what that transfers into and the kind of caliber that comes with that. But he's a Rhodes Scholar. And so again, outside of politics, I want to commend him on his achievements there and the example that he is setting for young Vincentians. Whether you are yellow or you are red, this is something to endure and to live up to. And then I think it was subsequent to that, I was at the Victoria Park, and Pastor the Streams of Power organization was doing its what was that they were doing? The 60th anniversary service, I think it was. And Luke presented an historical overview. But during that presentation, I got to learn of his church upbringing and his time in Sunday school and the way he elevated Dr. Reverend Errol Daniel as a mentor, and the kind of back and forth that would go on between them to have a spiritual mentor in his life. And I guess he doesn't talk about this very often publicly, but men of high caliber men of high caliber, all men, but particularly those who aspire to office and men who are in the forefront in the goldfish bowl, so to speak, I think it is really commendable to present to the public, look, I have a spiritual mentor. This is a part of who I am. I am not ashamed to say, I'm shy to say that spiritual mentoring and guidance is a part of my makeup. So just get with it. And for many other reasons, but I wanted to present those four because they're very fresh. Oh, one other, which is very near and dear to me. Haley. Luke has posted about Haley and how he has basically raised her and the kind of father figure he has been in her life. He has no reason to do this. He has no reason at all to do this. But I remember when at the funeral that Luke made a commitment and a promise, and he said, I am going to do this. And he hasn't faltered. Years on, he has not faltered. And because Haley, and I would happen to know that because I am very, very close to the situation, and I know a lot that 99% of the other Vincentians don't know about the kind of heart that Luke exhibited and what he has been doing in raising Haley. Don't let your view of politics and all of that. Vote how you want in that community or whatever. Do what you want with your politics, but don't let that smear your view of this outstanding young Vincentian. Bing, I gotta go here. All right.
Thank you very much, Doc. I appreciate you making yourself available, even though you're on another appointment. Thank you very much. All right, that's Dr. Richards. I know a lot of you want to call in. Maybe I will take your calls right now. I know. I'm getting the cussing. Let's see if this is one. Good morning, caller. You're live.
Ben, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well, my brother. How are you?
Let me just make sure I turn on the radio.
Yes.
I'm doing super fine, and let me say good morning to my friend Shady also. I listened to Mr.
Hold on. Before you go. Good morning to my friend Grant Connell, my lawyer. He brought me fruits this morning. Stephen boy, that's my boy. Told you. Yeah, sorry, but I have to do that. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I could say good morning to Grant Connell too, because that's my prime minister.
That's your prime minister. Yeah. That's my boy. So that's my boy. That's my boy.
But anyway, I listened to Luke Brown this morning, and I'm sorry that you couldn't allow some phone calls, but I realized he came to do a particular job. You hear me, right?
Very much so.
Right. When he spoke concerning the CBI, I personally believe he did a disservice. He was not honest, and more so, this is my interpretation, what I received from him. More so, he is saying that the government of St. Vincent is selling passports. He's also saying to me that the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is conducting the CBI program secretly. That is what I got from what Luke Brown is saying. You cannot tell me that the Prime Minister said, me not sell passport. But then later on saying that an investor who came to invest millions of dollars in St. Vincent was not given a passport. And then later on, when that investor found himself with problems with the law, he then comes to the public and is telling the public that he revoked that investor passport. The investor did not came to St. Vincent to be a citizen of St. Vincent. He came specifically to invest money, to do business, to do development in this country. And when he found himself in a situation with the law, instead of remaining in St. Vincent as a citizen of this country, he fled this country and his passport was revoked. I am convinced that the government is conducting the CBI program secretly, and I want Mr. Brown to come back and tell the nation. And if he don't have the information, if the press officer, Chandiman, can come and tell Vincentian, from the time ULP got into office as government up to the 30th of April 25 of this year, if they can tell the nation how many persons applied for citizenship in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, how many persons received citizenship, and how many persons from that amount were citizens by investment.
My brother,
And also, how much money was received?
Yes, from it.
Was received from the citizen passport.
All right, thank you, my brother. Thank you. We had a lot of people trying to get in this morning. Good morning, caller. Your life?
Shady, good morning, buddy. Shady, morning. Me not even think me should tell Big Morning. Me not even think me should tell Big Morning.
Because you know. Go ahead, so big. Thank you very much.
How are you, sir?
I'm well. I'm doing
Wonderful.
Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
You did a good job this morning. You had some good stuff this morning. But my only but is that persons didn't get to call in to correspond directly with Mr. Brown. Because I would have liked to have a conversation with Mr. Brown. First off, Mr. Brown spoke about growth. And they keep pushing this thing that, the World Bank say we have the second highest growth, second to this and second to that. I would have liked Luke Brown to go into what growth he was talking about, because they keep on asking this question. What organic growth does St. Vincent have that the World Bank is talking about? You see, these people will come and they will speak because they're politicians, so they know how to twist the tongue and how to speak while saying nothing. Yearly, we will see in our budget presentations and support the government report, you will hear that our expenditure sometimes is 6 times our revenue. How is that growth? You have a debt to GDP ratio of 93 point something %. How is that growth? Growth how? From where? Because if we keep on hearing about negative growth for so many years. So I would like to know, because people need to understand that with big capital projects, money will come into the country. Like, for example, we're building the port. So you have this farcical something that is there that shows yes, money is coming into the country. There's a boom in building because there are capital projects going on. But is that really sustained growth in the country? And that is these are the questions I would have liked to ask Mr. Brown. Because we see from the 2021 audit, we have seen where monies have come into the country and disappeared. Monies have not been going into the consolidated fund. So you tell me again, outside of raising taxes, outside of remittances coming into the country, outside of loans and some grants, how are we growing the economy? And then he spoke about infrastructure to bring businesses and so forth and so on. You have entities like Sandals and so forth come here. They're not here for the country. They're here for themselves. Yes, a few people got a few jobs, yes. But what is the country on a whole benefiting from Reno, Sandals, and Rainforest, the 3 biggest investments we have seen for a while? What is the country benefiting from them? What is our treasury benefiting from them? We get a few jobs, yes, a few menial jobs, the very jobs that Labour just a while ago in a hit piece they tried to write on Travis. Literally the very jobs that they berated and belittled. We get a few of those. We see where Reno has been given leeway to make billions of dollars while the country makes none from our natural resources. So what growth are these people talking about? Now, when you talk about CBI, first, and I like how you questioned Bing, is there money to be made from CBI? Now, Luke talk about empirical evidence. There is empirical evidence that money is made from CBI. Now, something was said this morning about a question was asked, I think in the comments. I can't remember if it was Luke who said it, or it was asked in the comments about, why is, I think it was Candyman or Luke, one of them, who said something about CBI countries having high debt and so forth. That's possible. And it's a spill off of the very revenue gain from CBI and other aspects of the growing economies of these countries. I'll say this. America is the biggest economy in the world, 30 trillion. Right? But their debt is also the highest in the world. Because lending institutions and other entities, other countries are willing to invest in them because of their high economic their high economy. And it's the same thing that we've seen with Grenada and these other countries, that because they have this money that is there, that they can invest in other places. You see, they are able to borrow because lending institutions are willing to lend. Unlike St. Vincent, who we have to be going to places like Taiwan, that they don't do any checks and balances, because when this country goes to entities like the CDB and the World Bank, sometimes they don't get the money. Remember this money that they wanted for the hospital? What did the World Bank do? They had to go to the very Taiwanese. And we keep on borrowing. Look again. We borrowed 93 million US. 62 million US coming from the Taiwanese. And guess what? The Prime Minister tell you, we don't know what we're going to do with it yet. So we borrow it for. So we sit down and we allow, and then this is the kicker to this, With all of what Luke Brown was saying there, one, he cannot deny that you make money from a CBI program. Two, with talking about St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Kitts and everybody else, you realize that with all of these governments, they were once in opposition under these very same CBI programs. None of them never come in and change them. They never throw them out. That is not interesting thing. None of them throw out these CBI programs. All the talk they talk when they're in opposition. This reminds me of when Sir James decided he wanted to build an airport, an international airport. That very same Ralph Hainaut, who is the Prime Minister, said none at all. He and Vince Beach ball run up and down, hold the head, tie the head, then was nearly mourn too. To say that if we do build an international airport, the debt that we will be in, our great-grandchildren will have to be paying that debt. When Ralph got into office and the question was asked of him, you know what he said? He said, say anything when in opposition. He said so. So with all of these things going around here, now the Prime Minister come again saying how they get information that persons in the hierarchy of the NDP linking with selling thing passports with entities who selling passports. Now, I laughed so hard last night that I had to make a post.
My brother, we're out of time. I want us to continue the discussion. All right, go ahead.
Just give me 1 minute, please. 1 minute. Because we heard where the Prime Minister say one time that a woman been dream that somebody will kill him. Well, I don't know if I be one of them Baptist people who eat plenty food and wrongs been ride them in the night. You know what I mean? And wrongs been ride them. He come back. He say again another time that they bring in people to kill him. He come back again, so that they tap a phone and listen to this. They listen to the conversation between the person and the hitman in Dominica. The man in Dominica come to St. Vincent. They meet him at the airport and send him back. Tell me how that sound to you. No questioning, no nothing. So I'm saying this to people. Listen to these politicians carefully when they speak. When they come and tell about growth, ask them from where. And when they try to fight down the CBI that the NDP is trying to present, they say, we are going to put this there in conjunction with the other 4 pillars of building the economy that we already speak about. That is all. Have a good morning, buddy.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much, as per usual. A good one. I tell you what. Let's take a couple more because we know persons wanted to call in. Good morning.
Greetings, brother Bing. How are you?
Greetings, my.
Hope you had a good hope the rain and wash away. I missed this morning. I know why you missed this morning. I don't think you blocked me from the morning show, but I thank you for that. Just want to say something here. Two quick things. One on Luke Brown. I came here after I called Mr. Brown. He's a good friend of mine. To say I hope I gonna get a chance to speak to Luke because I am one of the person in telling you that if Luke run independently in East Kingston, I'll vote for him over Bramble. Why? Because Luke has done more for East Kingston than any other politician have done any other constituency, much less for the ULP. And I'm saying, hey, this is a young guy we need that literally, he also basically spoke about a vaccine mandate, which no other politician in the NDP and ULP spoke about. But one thing I'm very disappointed in him, Luke must be honest because he made a serious blunder with the CBI. Because I am the one who called last week to say that Malta had a problem, but Malta didn't have a problem, a financial problem. Malta had an issue with the CBI where the CBI program is conflicting with the very people who work in Malta getting a job. And that's the reason, but they didn't stop it because it's not financial. Also, he said they've all said about Grenada. Grenada made 1.3 billion in 2003. But if you look at the graph, I'm going to sell it to you and sell it to Luke. That Grenada has been doing well. Dominica's Bell International Airport, 80% of the CBI program. So yes, the other countries in the European Union, because the European Union said it's not constitutional, it's not right.
20 seconds.
Yeah, but outside of the European Union, the CBI is the savior of Grenada. Dominica, St. Kitts, all of the Caribbean country. That is why Grenada could bounce out of the hurricane. In terms of debt, what kind of foolishness? We don't have any agriculture, tourism, or any other sector, all that on the ULP, and we need another productive sector. And I'm saying we need we need not just to remove not just to remove the ULP politician. But this guy there, who they say that is some cricketer, made a serious blunder by boasting about Malta, not even knowing why Malta. And then the NDP don't read it, they're lazy. And I'm saying we need to get the NDP politicians, we need to get the ULP politicians out.
Thank you very much, my brother. God bless you. Wow. This morning was a difficult morning because of all the rain and all that. He didn't get the call because we were late this morning in getting going this morning. All right, let's see if we can get one final one in. If not, we're just going to wrap it up until tomorrow morning. Yeah, one last one in. Good morning, caller, you're live.
Ben, give me 2 seconds. Dana, morning,
my brother. Good morning.
Ben, Luke still in the studio?
No, he's not. No. He had a matter. Oh. He had some clients that he had to go.
Oh,
yeah.
Did I hear Luke saying that the program, the CBI program, right? You'll be able to let in people who you don't know who come in or this or that. Was that what I thought I heard say something to that effect?
Yeah.
Right? If he did, I would have liked to ask Luke, because anybody who traveled in and out of AIA lately over the last few years, tell me if anybody know who's coming in whenever they come in Sindon. Is there a declaration form that they fill out? When was the last time? You traveling all the time, Dave. When was the last time you fill out a declaration form?
I can't remember.
You know, it's funny that when you bring things like this to light, you know, the people who support whichever party at that point that is in power want to label you and this and that and all kind of stuff. But the point is, those are the facts. There's no declaration for. I missed a flight 2 years ago going to Barbados because Canada didn't have enough regular flights. I come home for 4 days. I had to go to Barbados. I missed my flight in Barbados. You know why? Because the plane from St. Vincent was late, and they ain't letting you through unless you fill out a declaration form by one of them machines. They had to go there and stand up for 10, 15, 20 minutes. even Barbados, Canada, when you come in, the same thing. But we in St. Vincent, I don't know if any of the other islands doing it. And I ask the question, how do they know who is coming in and for what reason?
Well, I know the standard thing is that airlines, there's a advanced list of passengers, names of passengers that is sent. But the forms and all of that, those are not. I can't remember the last time I've seen all of those.
That is done everywhere. You have to send a passenger list to wherever your final destination
Yes,
is ahead of time.
yes, in advance.
Now, that is every country. But in Canada and the US and Barbados next door.
I get the point that you're making, I understand the point that you're making very well. I understand the point that you're making.
Yes. Right. So, if you have these big countries that have all this technology and all this information beforehand on individuals, how come we are, let me say, like everybody else, a 2x4 country with limited resources, but yet you got people coming in and you got absolutely nothing of reference other than what they tell you if you ask them certain questions. You see the point I'm making? So a guy could tell you anything he wants if the authorities decide to question him or her. I will talk about security, national security and other things, and you don't know who come in. Let them think about that for a minute.
All right, my buddy. Thank you.
Let them think about that for a minute. And I don't care what anybody wants to say or think. It doesn't make a difference to me. You see, I like the fourth estate when the fourth estate is doing the job right. When the fourth estate is doing what they're responsible to do, I love it. That is why I would give you St. Joseph. I don't know who the other people are involved with Boom FM. You see this radio station, I would name it number one in St. Vincent and Grenadines when it comes to all the morning programs.
Shady, you're going to applaud because you're a comrade. You waiting for your partner Candyman to call. That is when you say the applause.
But you see, these are the kind of things we have to bring to light and let people think about it for a minute. I don't understand. I don't understand it.
All right, buddy, we way out of time. We're way out of time. And I wet this morning from head to foot. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Have a good one, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me bring it. Let me say it. I said I was going to play it every morning. Every morning, Shady. Bring it. Bring my girlfriend in for me, please. Please. What she said.
The voices of accountability. This beacon encourages every Bajan to speak up and take responsibility when they see something going wrong in this country, in their community, in their houses, in their jobs. It embodies the idea that accountability isn't just for leaders, but for every citizen. Tanya Stevens reminds us of corruption in high and low places only to remind us that because we have a colonial mentality, we see only the oppression that is above us and not the oppression that is among us. Creating a culture of silence in the face of patent wrongdoing is not just acceptable, it is dangerous and it is destructive. And speaking up respectfully and more importantly, speaking truth becomes a civic duty of every citizen of this country and everyone who chooses to want to live among us, even though not a citizen. This applies, my friends, to whether we're talking about what happens in our home, our workplace, the church, the community, or even the block, especially the block. There is nothing to be gained through remaining silent when we know better. And to say it shoulda, it coulda, I didn't. Regret cannot be the platform to this country's stability, harmony, or prosperity.
and the police are asking for any information that they can get, any sort of information. All right, if you know of anything, please contact the police department, the CID department, the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force. Remember, any information, this sort of violence, killing, gun crime, gun death by guns. We don't make guns in St. Vincent. How are these guns are getting into SVG? That's a question we need to ask as well too. All right, it's getting closer and closer to home, and home don't just mean my home or Shady's home. It's getting closer and closer. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that lady would have been gunned down, murdered? Who would have thought that Mr. King as well too, or all the persons in the last week would have been gunned down in the way they did? All right, remember, you have an obligation to say something. You have an obligation to cooperate with the police if you can. Please, because it's getting closer and closer to home. Until tomorrow morning, we're gonna love you.